All right, Mr. Kibble is up with Google Chrome and all cool things about Google Chrome. If you think you know about managing Google Chrome, you probably don't know. So stick around as Chris wows us with the amazing Google Chrome management stuff, and then we will carry on from there.
All right. I feel bad. That was an amazing little intro from Adam, and I had all these bad things to say about you during the demo. I was going to poke fun at the hair and everything else, and now I feel like I can't. So let's see if I can share. Is that coming through all right?
Yes.
Awesome. So hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Chris Kibble. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about managing Chrome in the enterprise. I think I'm the only Chrome guy here with everybody moving over to Edge, but I think there's still a lot of organizations out there using it. We're still using it at my shop, and I think there's a lot of cool things that, because we're all in the Microsoft world, we don't really know. We don't go looking for it. So I'm going to try and go through some of those today. Thanks, obviously, to Adam, Julian, and Jeremy for getting this all together and allowing me to speak. So this is me. I'm not going to read about myself because I feel it's weird. I don't work for Google. I'm an engineer at a biotech in Cambridge. I've been there since 2001. So going on 20 years now, where I manage all of our endpoints. Get about 15,000 of them now. I manage our Intune environment, our configuration manager environment. I do a whole bunch of our tier 3 stuff. It's kind of my background. It's me over on the right there. I'm going to share this out on Twitter. So that's really the only one that matters for everybody here. I have a lot of hidden slides in this that have all of the links and more information. So hopefully some useful information for anybody who wants to pick up on this after the presentation's over. Also, my DMs are open. So if you have questions that don't get answered by the end of the either my demonstration or the Q&A at the end, I can cover those for you there. So we're going to talk about two things today. I call the first one legacy. So this is the way that we've always managed Chrome in the past. So managing it with group policy, managing it with Admx templates. I'm going to walk you through how we do that today. For those who didn't know that Chrome had Admx templates, they've been out there for a long time. They've gotten a lot better since they were years ago. Really well documented. But it's kind of just your Windows space, and it's the old way of doing things and doesn't work when you move to modern managed PCs. So you can do Intune ingestion of the ADMX, but it's a little kludgy with Chrome. So then we're going to talk about the modern way to manage it, which is using the Chrome Browser Cloud Management Platform, which I really hope they rename because both typing it and saying it is a mouthful. So we're going to walk through standing up how I stood up a new environment there, and then how you can kind of define policy that is not only for your Windows clients, but Mac, Linux, your servers, whether they're modern managed or legacy AD managed, or managed through Novell eDirectory. It doesn't really matter. So first one, we're just going to run through setting up ADMX templates, kind of what all that means for anybody who doesn't know if group policy management isn't really your forte. I'm going to go through some of the most common settings. There's a lot in there and way more than I could cover even if I went all the way until one. We're going to do all that in the lab. There's very few slides here. And kind of the big one that I hear about a lot when I'm looking online and I'm talking to other people who manage Chrome are the allow and deny lists, which your SecOps groups, your CyberOps groups will love because there's all kinds of extensions out there that they are worried about. So like I said, not a lot of slides, so we're going to jump right into a demo. I'm going to install the ADMX templates. Going to create a new GPO, and then we're going to deploy it and see how it impacts Chrome. And we'll do that all in the lab in a live demo. So I pray to the live demo gods right now. The only thing I do want you to know is that this only works if you're running Pro or Enterprise version for Windows 10. It also works on Education, although that isn't called out in the docs. I think because Education kind of looks like Enterprise, it'll work there, even though on every Google page it just says Pro and Enterprise. So it doesn't work if you're still running Home Edition of Windows 10. So I'm going to stop presenting that for a second. And Adam, I'm going to use you as my spot checker. Does that come through okay?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So a lot of you maybe have been doing this for a long time with group policy, but for those who haven't, I kind of want to walk through it since it only takes a minute or two. So it's a little shortcut here. This is in the slides. It's also easily Googleable. So ADMX templates are just kind of ways to extend group policy. You you're using them already, they come out of the box with Windows. You can either manage them kind of on your individual systems that run the group policy management console, or you can keep them in a central location. And like many vendors, Chrome has them. So I've already downloaded it, which is going to save me downloading this 100 megs, which certainly could fail in the lab. But I just wanted to kind of point out where they were. It's this Chrome bundle for Windows 64-bit. The 64-bit bundle will manage 32-bit systems, so I would say go for 64-bit. The only difference is the 64-bit one also bundles in Chrome 64, but that doesn't really matter for us. So I've already got that zip file here. I'm going to pop that open, kind of put it over there. So this is the bundle, which comes with all the installers you need for Chrome, some documentation, but what we care about is this configuration and ADMX. And these are all of the ADMX files. So these are all kind of they're just XML files, and they're the instructions kind of for your group policy management console on what you can manage with Chrome, which at the end of the day is just writing keys to the registry. So in my environment, I have my policy definitions local. Most of you have probably moved them to your domain controller, but this is my lab, and I haven't. And all you need to do is take all those files, and I don't want to drag them to one of those. Scroll down. Drag them over to here, copy. You can, if you're using the latest, you can always replace the ones that are there. It's going to bring over not only the ADMX files, which I'll show you how those show up, but all of these kind of languages, which are just how they're kind of displayed in the management console. You don't need to do any of this on your clients. This is only either on your domain controller for policy definitions or on the system where you're going to manage group policy. So with those installed, and I'm going to do text-wise. Does that share okay? Resolution's good.
Yeah, that's looking good.
Perfect, thanks.
And but just as a quick tip, if if it's not good, you can, as on your own screen, not just you, Chris, but anybody watching, you can hold Control and then scroll your mouse wheel forward or backwards to zoom in or zoom out on the video. So that way you can change your own experience in Teams.
Awesome, thanks. So what I'm going to do here is probably not best practice, but fine for a lab. We're going to create a new GPO right at the root of my domain. I want this to impact my entire environment. And I told Adam I was going to pick on him. So we're going to call this the Adam Gross Chrome policy. And if I go in and edit that policy, which now applies to every computer in my lab, you're going to see where all of your ADMX files load. And you can actually, if you extend this out, you can actually see that it's the ADMX files and that they're pulling from my local computer. Again, they're on this computer because this is where I'm going to manage the policy from. And because we copied those ADMX files over, we now have this Google section. And I'm regularly surprised at how many people don't know that these are here. But after you bring those over, you can manage Chrome. Again, there's more things in here than we could cover in a 30-minute session. You can kind of run through these on your own. Some of the big ones I see people using are under content settings. There's been the same site change recently, so I've had to use this one. So revert to legacy same site behavior for some sites. You can turn on and off JavaScript on certain sites. You can turn on and off your Bluetooth, web USB. I don't even know what web USB is, to be honest. So that's the big one. Extensions is a huge one. There was a post a few months ago. I don't remember who originally released it, but there were, I want to say, like 40 extensions in Chrome that they found were either malicious or at least stealing data. So I actually went through here to help some people add them to their block list, which we're going to walk through in a lab in a few minutes. There's legacy browser support. So just like you'll learn in a little bit that Edge will allow you to revert back to IE mode for some sites that just don't comply with modern standards. You can do the same thing in Chrome. So we're going to walk through that actually in the next lab. Password manager. I find some organizations wanting to turn off the password manager. There's also that new leak detection that Chrome added, and I think it's coming to Edge, or has come to Edge. So we'll hear about that later, I think. So you can turn that on or off. It's another big one, the startup homepage and new tabs. So what do you want to load? Do you want your company's homepage to load the first time you start the browser? What do you want to happen when you hit the new button, etc. So again, not going to run through all of them, but we'll do a few of them. So I'm going to do URLs to open on startup because I get this one a lot. And this is Chrome will open, I don't even know what the max is, but you know, a pretty big amount of URLs. So we'll throw a few in here. So let's see if I can spell this right. A squared dozen.com, which if you haven't been there, it's awesome. We'll throw in Jeremy, you'll have to yell at me if I'm doing this one wrong. I think it's policypak.com with no C. We'll hit OK. OK. And then the other thing I want to do is back in extensions, we're going to block one. So we're going to say that there's an extension that we don't want to use. I'm going to hit show. So unfortunately, you have to do this by extension ID. If you've never managed Chrome before, every extension that gets in the web store gets kind of just a long string of characters assigned to it. I saved one. So this is for Keybase. So we're going to say that I don't want people in my lab using Keybase. So we're going to throw that guy right in there. I'm going to show you what that looks like from the user side. OK. We'll hit OK. And we'll minimize this guy. And then for those who manage group policy, you know, you're going to do a GP update to get those to come down. Actually, while that's going on, I'm going to pop open the registry editor. I'm going to show you where those go. So all those are just registry keys. You could do these same things if you didn't want to do group policy with Configuration Manager. You can do them with Intune, whatever you want to do. But there's the extension that I wanted to add to my block list. There are the two sites I wanted to load. Now, hopefully, if the demo gods are good, I'll click and there we go. Adam's blog, PolicyPak. Then we're going to go ahead and jump into the Chrome Web Store and we'll see if that other one worked for us. So remember, we said that we didn't want to allow Keybase. Click it, and it worked. So blocked by admin. So this is actually, you know, in the web store on the Chrome website, you can see that this extension's been blocked. You can configure that in a bunch of different ways. You can use allow listing instead, so you can say everything's blocked except for what I want. You can see if I pick a different one, I do have the add to Chrome option, which I don't want to do. And I'm going to jump back and just delete that policy because it's going to conflict with some other things I want to show you. That all makes sense to everybody? Adam, is there a lot of confusion going on in the chat or anything like that before I move on? I'm kind of moving a little bit fast.
No, I think it's there's no one is doing anything in the chat, so I think we're good. Carry
Adam,
on.
can you tell from your end, is everybody just playing Surf and Edge right now?
Mostly in our team's secret monitoring of the participants. Yes, that is what it appears.
I figured that's what was happening. All right, I'm going to jump back to the slides. So that's, like I said, kind of the legacy way of doing it. If you have Chrome in your environment, if you've been managing Chrome, you're probably using ADMX already. If not, you definitely can. It's one way to do it. There's some new and better ways, which I'm going to show you next. However, the new and better ways use the cloud, which hopefully everybody's engaged with. I know I'm not sharing it, Adam. Sorry.
Okay, just checking.
Talking through my my switching over, and it's not going well because I can't do two things at once. There we go. That's what we did. And then here is the new and better way. And time check. It looks like I'm good on time. So this is the Chrome browser cloud management, which, unless from what I've seen through Twitter and Discord, unless you are already a Chrome shop and you're already running kind of Chrome as your enterprise environment instead of going with M365, nobody seems to know about it. But it's out there. It is completely free. There are some add-ons for it to increase like the amount of administrators, and they're ridiculously cheap. I manage our Chrome fleet, and just to throw it out there, we're actually an Edge shop. We were IE, we moved to Edge, but we're not fighting the browser war. So we have a lot of users who want to use Chrome. Chrome's modern browser. It works with all the things that Edge works with. So Edge is our default, but we have about a third of those 15,000 systems where the users have installed Chrome from the Software Center, and we're totally okay with it. We have plenty of things that we want to argue with our users about, and what browser they use isn't one of them. But we do use this to manage our Chrome systems, and it is so much easier. It is like moving from legacy management into Intune. This is like the Intune for Chrome, basically. But it's completely free. I'm going to walk you through how I stood mine up, and then we're going to manage some policy in there as well. These are things we're going to do. Requirements are tiny. So all you need is to be able to reach Google over HTTPS. They've got a list of endpoints on their website if you need, but otherwise they're all under google.com, so hopefully they're open. You don't need to be pro or enterprise or education. You can manage home systems with this. And you can also manage Windows 7, Mac. I've tried it on Windows XP and Linux. We have an Ubuntu system running Chrome that picks up these policies as well. So we will switch sharing back over to our lab, and I'll walk you through that. through these. So this is the sign up link. It takes about 5 minutes to sign up, which is a big chunk of the 30 minutes I've stolen from Julie today. So I'm not going to walk through it, but it's really just these steps. It's super easy. If you've ever filled out a form online, you can sign up for Chrome Browser Cloud Management. This link is in the deck on a hidden slide with a whole bunch of other links of things I talk about today. Super easy, creates an account, but we're just going to kind of save that time and switch right into it. So this is my Google admin page. Again, completely free. Got here just by giving it my name, email address, phone number, and setting up 2FA. You would normally have to log in, but I logged in right before the lab, so it's saved. So again, not everything here is free. This is more meant for people who kind of run their organizations with Chrome or sorry, with Google, but the browser side is. So we're going to jump over to devices. And this is also nearly instant. I went from managing my systems with GPO to having a few test systems enrolled in here in, I don't know, less than an hour. And a lot of that was just me reading docs because I was overcomplicating it in my head. So anybody who's managed really any type of directory before kind of probably understands organizational units. It's set up just like Active Directory is and eDirectory is from the Novell days, for those of us old enough. Is that this is my kind of my demo company where I do all of my lab work, coding late, and I've got 3 OUs. You can do nested OUs. I don't know how deep you can go, but at least a few levels I've gone before. So I've got my Azure AD joint systems, servers, and user workstations. Those are just what I called them. If I jump down to user workstations, you can see the ones that are in there. Rose is the system that we're on right here. It's kind of the one I've been using for all of my Chrome demo work. And enrollment into here is super easy. So I'm going to hit this little plus guy, and it's going to give me a token. And you can screenshot that if you want. It does nothing for anybody. This is a token where any Chrome browser, and I'll show you how it picks it up, any Chrome browser who has this token gets managed by my lab environment. And it is just a registry key. You can push this out. Oops, I just created a new one. That's going to break some stuff. I got a new token. It's just a reg file. And if you download the file, load it, and say yes, and say okay. It's just, again, like everything else, a key in the registry that I'll show you. And you can push this out however you want. You can use group policy. You can use the Admx templates that are already there. It's one of them. You could use Intune. You could use whatever your management platform is, anything that can write a registry key. You could use a CI in Configuration Manager if you wanted to. So there's my cloud enrollment token, and all that's doing is telling this system how to check into Google. Everything else is there. There's nothing else to install. It's been available since, say, Chrome 76 or so. So you got to be on a version from the last few years. And that's what I've done here. I have a group policy set up that just creates that registry key on all of the systems that are in here. And now it wants me to log in again. All right, so I'm going to do a few of the things that we did in the last demo and kind of show you that it's a little bit easier. So here's my list of browsers. If I jump in and look at Rose, you can kind of see some information on Rose. There's a whole GDPR, GDGP, yeah, you know what I'm saying, thing on privacy here, so you can hand that off to your privacy or security folks if you need to deal with that. But it doesn't really collect a lot of information about the machine. Here's my user on the machine name, OS. So there is a bug. It reports servers as Windows 10. I know a lot of vendors seem to have that problem because they're just looking at the version number, but they have said they're going to get that fixed. Here's where Chrome is installed. And then what my CyberOps team loves is all of the extensions that are installed there. Also how they got installed. So normal installs are ones either done by Chrome or by the user. Admins are ones that I've pushed, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Keep going down, the policies that are applied to this machine and how they're applied. So here's some settings that I've set on them. Some of them are set directly on the machine, where some of them come from the cloud. Some plugins. They also have this kind of custom fields. You can't expand on this, which is fine for us. We don't even fill these out, but you could throw in the asset ID and user ID and so on in there. We're going to jump back and we're going to look at the cool part. And time, good on time, which is under user settings. So if you look at my scroll bar over here, you can see that there are That's tiny. There are lots and lots and lots of settings. This is everything that is in those ADMX templates, plus a bunch more. It is not only what you can manage for Chrome, but what you can manage on the system if it's Chrome OS, which none of my systems are. But if you look over here, this icon here will tell you what you're modifying. So these three up here have the picture of the little laptop, I guess. So those are Chrome OS devices. If I come down here, these are the ones I'm looking for, right? So this guy available on Chrome browser, Windows, Mac, and Linux. I don't know if that's too small to come through there, but that's basically telling me I'm managing a browser there. And that's telling me I'm managing an Android device. And I only care about the Chrome browser ones. The other thing that's important to see here is where this setting comes from. So if you look at my browser sign-in setting, you can see that it's inherited from up here, some stuff that I wish some other directory services would do. So but you can see this next one is Google defaults, where this one came from the parent. I'm going to jump back to the parent, and we'll do some cool things in here. So again, way too much to go through, but you can search them. Just about anything that you think you could probably do with Chrome, you can, all free. So let's look for the home button. So I'm going to change a few of these to kind of show you how easy it is and how quick it happens. So we're going to turn on the home button. So we'll say always show. We'll set a new home page. Right now mine is the WinAdmin. Sorry, WinAdmin guys. We'll go say PolicyPaks. I'm sorry, keyboard's broken. So new home page, and then pages load at startup. If you're watching earlier, CNN is what launched, but let's go back and let's, I don't go to Adam's blog enough. So like that one.
So sad.
It is sad. I just wish that there was some good content there.
Well, once you've read it all like 4 or 5 times, I mean, you've got it, right?
You'd think so, but that's why I keep going back so that I don't have to memorize it. And we'll say, let's go back and do PolicyPak again. You can also do the browser check. I have this turned on in my production environment. I turn off the browser check. It doesn't stop people from setting Chrome as the default, but it does stop Chrome from bothering them. So I have mine, even in my lab. Yeah, even my lab is turned off, but in my production environment, I don't have Chrome prompt. The other one that, believe it or not, managed bookmarks. Don't know if this is big everywhere else, but for some reason my organization loves the bookmarks. They love to make sure that every way that the user can contact IT is there and all kinds of other fun stuff. So we're going to change this. We're going to say, instead of allow the user to decide, which you can see is the Google default, we're going to enable the bookmark bar. And if I hit edit, first I got to save. For some reason, my VM decided it's going to restart. Sorry about that. There we go. All right, Adam, do you see that again?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Sorry. Weird Hyper-V stuff. So we've saved it. We're going to go ahead and hit edit on the bookmarks. You'll see the ones I have set up there already, our WinAdmin site, Google, and Gmail. We can go ahead and add another one in here. We're going to add a new bookmark, and I'm going to keep picking on Jeremy because it's the only one I haven't tested with yet. And we're going to save that guy. And we're just going to do a bunch of things in here, and then we'll see how that applies. Chrome updates is kind of the last one I want to show you. So I hate that we even have to use this, but it's a thing. And actually, this saved me during one of the updates. I don't remember what broke in our organization, but there was one, and we just needed like one more day, and we didn't want Chrome updating. So you can actually change how Chrome updates. So this is how often it checks. So 1,400 minutes, I think, is once a day. We can actually come down here, choose to allow or disable updates. Please don't disable updates for your browser. But then this is pretty cool. So you can allow updates to a specific version. So if you need to lock into the version for a few days, or if you are in a regulated or validated environment, shout out to my pharma and biotech folks, where you need to kind of qualify new versions and things like that, you can actually put whatever you want in here for the version. So I could lock into 80. or 80.1, and it kind of explains it down here pretty well, but it'll go to the latest version available for what you put in there. So if I put in 80, it'll go to the last possible major release of 80. And it's used in some kind of old versions for the example, but you can kind of see you can lock to a specific version or just to a major version. And then what do you want to do? Do you want to roll back if somebody's already forward? Do you want to come back to that version or not? So we are not going to set this for the lab environment. I'll always want my Chrome browser to be running the latest. It's also a snapshot limit for those who don't know. If your profile in Chrome ever corrupts as a result of an upgrade, by default, it keeps the last 3. This is even without any policy applied. It's going to keep the last 3 that you can restore from. So if an update ever breaks Chrome, hasn't for me, but could happen. And I think the last thing I want to point out here before I leave is that just about every setting has this little question mark. If you kind of scroll up, so click on one of these and actually just kind of brings you, it takes a second to scroll to it after the page loads, but kind of the, what is that? What does it mean? Type thing. And I lied, there's actually one more thing I promised to show you, which is legacy browser support. So I think this is huge as we move towards more modern browsers, as everybody moves towards Edge and tries to get off of IE. Any organization who's been around long enough probably has some sites that still just haven't upgraded. I know that I do. So Julie, in a little bit, I think it's Julie, is going to talk about in Edge how you can ensure that some sites continue to load in IE until you're able to upgrade those sites. And Chrome has the same policy. So enable legacy browser support, we already have turned on here. There's some settings about how long do you want to wait before you load it. But what essentially this policy is going to do is load these sites in Internet Explorer, even if a user tries to open them in Chrome. So if you have a site, maybe an old timesheet site or your old Oracle sites that just don't work in a modern browser yet, or that still use ActiveX, you can force them back to Internet Explorer. So that your users aren't calling saying, hey, this page doesn't load, or hey, the submit button on my timesheet doesn't work, and your help desk is just telling them, yeah, you still have to do that one in IE11. So this will actually force them into it, and I'll show you what that looks like. Unfortunately, not as cool as Edge. Edge can actually, you'll see, load it in the same tab. Chrome is going to open a new process. If you are already doing this with Edge and IE, you can actually just change this to use Internet Explorer's list. You just manage the list once, right? So if you have your list within Internet Explorer or within Edge and IE mode, here's all the sites I need to load in a legacy browser. You can just use IEs. I don't have that in the lab. You can also point right to an XML file for sites to open up in different browsers, or you can actually just list the sites in here. So I know that Adam's site will definitely load in Chrome, and so will Jeremy. So we'll pick a random one. We'll say, we already used boston.com. Let's use cnn.com. We'll say CNN just isn't ready for a modern browser yet. You can also just carriage return to limit them. So you could have a whole list of things in here. And those ones will load in IE, as hopefully we'll be able to demo. If you need to tell it where Chrome is and stuff like that, you can do that. But we're going to save. We're going to let that go. And one of the things that I love about this this platform is that if you've never heard of it, there's this thing called a cloud minute, which means that everything you do in the cloud should take about a minute, but it ends up taking like 15 while all this replication happens in the background. I think somebody said on Twitter yesterday it was more than 1, but less than 24 hours. And it has been instant every time I've done it. So if you're not aware of this, there's a policy flag for Chrome that you can put right up in the bar there. It brings you to this policy page that's local. You can see the last time I pulled policy is 57 minutes ago. So I'm going to reload those. Now it's 0 seconds. And then here's every policy that is applied to my Chrome instance. So you can see things that, take my word for it, I didn't have set up before. PolicyPak has now become my homepage. I've got these bookmarks here. Let's see, we added, maybe I didn't save the ad. But we can now see that we load a square dozen in PolicyPak on startup. You can see that device ID I showed you earlier, but we're just going to close and reopen Chrome. You now see that we're back to a square dozen in PolicyPak. Uploaded. Doesn't look like I saved the bookmark change, but let's take a look. Oh, nope, it did save. So you can now see PolicyPak, which was not on my bookmarks bar before, is there. I think it's the bookmark bar that I didn't save. So cool stuff there. And it looks like I'm on about 5 minutes. So last big thing I definitely want to show you is around extensions. So much easier with the cloud management. Back again to apps and not apps. Devices, browsers. We're going to go to apps and extensions. So this is not out of the box. This is what I have set in my lab. So right now I'm forcing the install of Speed Test and Wolfram Alpha, and I'm not allowing the Piggy Bank. So you can actually see those up here, and you'll see those on all of the systems in my lab. There's Wolfram Alpha, there's Speed Test. And remember when we had to do this in group policy, we had to go out and find the extension ID from the Chrome store before we could add it. From here, you can actually search the Chrome store. And I'm going to search for something at random. Let's do Minecraft search. It's actually kind of a little mini display of it. So here's an extension in the Chrome store. I'm going to click it. It's going to tell me all about it. I'll hit select. Minecraft's been added. So now I can allow install, which is kind of the default. But here I can also force install or block it. So we'll block this guy. And we'll add one more. Save the changes first. So now people will not be able to install Minecraft, and I'll show you that. And then the other thing we'll do is, let's look for something else. Let's look for Jelly Shift. I have no idea what Jelly Shift is. Select. And we can force install. And I will save that. And I'm going to go refresh my policy. Policy refreshes on its own every 3 hours. I've tried a few ways to programmatically refresh it, but it seems inaccessible from outside of the browser. And I should have put those things down here. We're going to go ahead and restart Chrome. Yep, there's Jelly Shift. So it doesn't show up there because it's not pinned, but you can see that Jelly Shift, whatever Jelly Shift is now installed. If I go to the Chrome Web Store, see if I can remember to Minecraft, I think it was the new tab one. Nope, must have been a different one. So trust me to block if I had remembered which one it was. But a lot easier than doing it through group policy. And since I kind of went through that kind of fast, it's actually 2 other really cool things to show you that if you're in organizations like mine with big cyber ops groups, they will love. If we jump back to Chrome, there's 2 reports down here. So the first that I love is the browser extension list. And this is actually kind of why we moved over to begin with, is we had no easy way to report on the extensions. So here is every installed extension in my lab. In my production environment, this list is huge. I don't even know how many pages it is. I have sort by installed. So the most installed thing is Wolfram Alpha. But the really cool thing, if you're going through this and you look at Todoist. So one of my systems installed Todoist. If I'm going through this list and I say, no, you absolutely can't use that, actually go here, block it right from here, block it in my organization, or I can choose one of my OUs if I wanted. I clicked away from it. So it was successful, and I've now blocked Todoist. The next time that system checks in for policy, which again is at least once every 3 hours, it'll uninstall Todoist kind of silently in the background and will not allow the user to reinstall it. And the last thing on here, version report. I'm just kind of curious what's out there. I know most of us are running Configuration Manager or Intune or some other environment that'll give us this, but you can see it right in here as well. By default, it's looking at everything from the beginning of the month. You can get rid of that filter. And here are all of the installs in my lab. So you can see I've got 1 running the latest, 6 that are a version behind, and this guy back here that I actually locked into version 80 just for testing. So I think with that, I am right on time. So I'm going to hand it back to Julie, but I will hang out in the chat, and I will be on Twitter and Discord, and I will be here at the end. I think it was either 12:30 or 1 for questions. I can jump back in, and we can talk about anything else that you guys might want to do with Chrome. So thanks, everyone, and Adam and Julie, back to you.
Excellent. This was fabulous. I learned a whole bunch of really cool stuff, and thank you so much for sharing. we did have some trouble finding someone who had some great stuff to share, and you knocked it out of the park on Chrome, and we are so grateful for that, since it's in so many of our environments, and we need to support it. And love all those great tips.